My name is Konrad Englberger, and I'm going to give you a presentation on pest management in FSM. So I hope you will enjoy it. So in this PowerPoint presentation, we start off with the different pests being present in FSM. So this slide here shows you a nice, well-managed market garden. Again, as I explained before, management and sanitation, clean, free of weeds, good crop rotation, all this healthy plant will provide you a good crop, a good yield, and you will get plenty of vegetables. So we start with insect pests. There are many insects. Some are so small you cannot see with the naked eye. Some insects eat part of the plants, like the caterpillars. Other insects sting or suck the plant's juice out of the fruit, like fruit flies and white flies. This slide shows you aphids. Aphids are very small. You hardly can see them with the naked eye. Here it's magnified, it's under the microscope. But as you can see, there's plenty of aphids and they can do a lot of damage. Here, this is the tomato fruit worm. Again, it's a caterpillar, and as you can see on the slide, it makes holes into the fruit, tunnels in the fruit, and makes the fruit will rot away and you cannot eat it. So what you need to do is, if you see caterpillars, just collect them and squeeze them or drown them in water, and try to keep your crop free of these caterpillars, because once they build up in large numbers, you will lose your crop. You can spray, as I say, we don't want to use pesticides, but you can use some local sprays, like using oil and soap solution, and that helps a little bit. This is another pest which is present in FSM. It's mealybugs. You find them quite often. It's usually under the leaf, on the underside of the leaf, on eggplants, on different crops, tomatoes. You say it's quite a common pest. Again, don't allow it to build up. You can remove them by hand. You can wash them off. Or you can also spray oil and soap solution. This is another insect pest. It's called the stink bug. They are looking different. When they are small, they're green in color and sometimes black in color. And when they're big, they're brownish. Again, they sting into the fruits and can cause a lot of damage. In tomatoes, in eggplants, in sweet corn. So that is called the stink bug. Whiteflies are a big pest in FSM. Whiteflies, mainly in chili. Chili are often attacked by whiteflies, but also other crops like tomatoes. We had some problems with kava, the cow growers, with whiteflies. So whitefly is quite a big pest, and we are trying to concentrate here on biological control. So if farmers have a big problem with whitefly, we try to bring the biocontrol agent to the field and have the biocontrol taken care of. We'll talk later on in this session a little bit more on biological control. Now, I just showed you the major insect pests. Now, we're talking about nematodes now. Plant parasitic nematodes are small, microscopic, roundworms that live in the soil and attack the roots of plants. Affected plants wilt and may die. Root knot nematodes have swellings or galls on the roots. Like this photo shows you root knot nematodes. It shows you the galls caused by root knot nematodes. And this can be a big problem, because once you have a nematode problem, the root system, the root have very fine hair and roots, and the roots feed the plants. But once the nematodes build up, the roots are destroyed, the system, and they don't feed the plant anymore with water and nutrients, and the plant starts to wilt and die. So nematodes is a big problem. And nematodes usually build up if you don't have a good crop rotation. If you plant you plant bell pepper after bell pepper after bell pepper, you get problems. So the answer for nematode is crop rotation, which is a cultural management. So lots of people here, I find out, they have problems like with cucumbers, because they plant cucumber after cucumber 2 or 3 or 4 times, and then you get nematode problems. Another thing is diseases. If plants have diseases, they look like they're wilting, showing sometimes yellow or brown spot. This can be caused by fungus or bacteria. This is a banana leaf, and this is a fungus. And the fungus will spread, and eventually the leaf will turn black and dies. So you can have diseases on tomatoes, on eggplants, on any crops. And some varieties, or some kind like tomatoes, they can be resistant to bacterial wilt, which is a disease. And if you have resistant varieties, then you don't get the problem. We'll talk a little bit later on resistance. Weeds. Weeds can cause a lot of problems by competing with other crops. They compete for nutrients, sunlight and water. As you can see here, this is the ivy gourd, or Coccinia grandis. It's overgrowing everything, and it's causing a lot of problem. It can smoothen out like bananas and take over, and so weed control is very, very important. Vertebrates, rats, can cause a lot of damage to crops like bananas, cassava, taro and others. There are different species of rats in Micronesia. Other vertebrates are snake, birds and fish. So we have in Ponape, we have 3 different kind of rat species, but there are still many more which we don't have. Mollusks, snails and slugs can be very damaging to vegetations, vegetables, cabbages and seedlings. Sanitation is very important to remove the breeding places. So snails like to breed or like to stay under cover, like under roots, in compost area, under weeds. So if you keep your place nice and clean, good sanitation, you will have less problems with snails. You can, if you see snails, you can handpick them and step on it, or take a shovel and hit it and destroy it. I said this statement before, healthy plants are less susceptible to pests and diseases. Before, a good management will reduce your pest problem. Therefore, if you have a good management, you will reduce your pest problem. These are just photos of healthy plants, very strong, and they will produce a good crop. How can we control pests? So this is now a second part. We can use chemical control, but chemical control should be our last resort. There are many other management practices which should be considered. This is a photo of someone spraying, but now what are the pest management options? We should use integrated pest management. So integrated pest management means not just chemical control, there are many others which should be considered. And now we are going to talk about the IPM, integrated pest management. So spraying, as I said, it should be our last resort. So IPM, applied controls, so we talk host resistance to use resistant varieties. Biological control, to use natural enemies. Cultural control, to use crop rotation. Mechanical control, to use mechanical tractors and other machinery. Sanitation, cleaning, good clean fields. Home remedies, using non-pesticides, like you can make home remedies out of oil and soap. And the last resort is chemical control. Biological control, use of natural enemies like ladybird beetles and other insects to control pests. Biological control is one of the cheapest and best control systems you can use, because once a biological control is introduced, it will stay forever and it will control your pest. So there's also, you can use fungi to control pests, like the weed mylaminate. There is a fungus to control the weed. There is insects which eat insects, like here we always say, like the ladybird beetle on the picture is eating aphids or other insects. You can also use sterile flies for biocontrol. You can use virus for rhinoceros beetle control. So there are many different biocontrol systems. Many people in FSM don't know about it, but we have a lot of biocontrol already in FSM, and it is working. For example, on whiteflies we have biocontrol. Biocontrol is not eradicating the pest. It's keeping the pest, or it should keep the pest in low damage levels. It should allow not to build up. But sometimes it does. So what happens? The insect pest is building up, the biocontrol agent is coming in and controls the pest, and then the pest problem is reduced. So there's sometimes ups and downs in biocontrol, but biocontrol is definitely one of the best you can have, because it doesn't cost you money. It costs one time initially money to introduce it. Cultural control. Cultural control, I have mentioned before, crop rotation. Crop rotation is very important. I mentioned nematodes, because you get nematode problems if you keep planting the same crop after the same crop, like cucumbers after cucumbers. You must not do this. So crop rotation, very important. Trap cropping, it's not very much practiced here. You can grow a crop which is trapping insect pests or diseases and keeps the one you want to grow free of it. So it's one way to use trap. Mulching is to cover the ground with leaves or mulch. It keeps your ground moist and free from erosion. So mulching can be very good, but it also has one negative effect, that it can host, like the snails can breed in the mulch. Harvest time can help also a lot, because if you harvest early before the insect attacks it, like an example in FSM is people like to eat mangoes green. Why do they harvest the mangoes green? Because if the mangoes get ripe, the fruit flies come in and attacks it, and you will have mangoes with little worms in it. But if you harvest it green, the worms are not yet in the mango. This is harvest time. Give me a break. Okay, now we are talking about insects and pests which are not present in FSM. Because the reason why this is very important for you to know is, if you find one of these new pests, you should report it immediately. And maybe we can eradicate it before it is spreading. So it's very important. So this is fruit flies. There are many different fruit flies, and like this one is called the oriental fruit fly. It's present in Palau, in Hawaii, in US, in Asia, in China, and in Nauru. And the oriental fruit fly is having many hosts. A host is a plant where the fly is laying the eggs inside. So that's called the host plant. So a lot of fruits and vegetables are attacked by this oriental fruit fly, and then the little worms come inside and the fruits and vegetables cannot be used to eat. Another one is the melon fly. And the melon flies in Guam, in CNMI, in Papua New Guinea, Solomons, Philippines, Hawaii eradicated it, Nauru eradicated it. So the melon fly is mainly a host attacking watermelons and cucumbers and any other cucurbita family plants. So as you can see here, Hawaii has eradicated it. Nauru has eradicated it. So we are lucky we don't have it. And Ponape is growing a lot of cucumbers. If you have this one, it will cause us a lot of problems. Another one is the Asian longhorn beetle. It's in China, Korea, Japan, and parts of US. It's a host of trees. It attacks trees, bores holes in it, and even can kill trees. If this one could come to FSM, it would be terrible for a whole environment, because there's so many, we have agroforestry, we have so many trees, lots of these trees would be killed by this longhorn beetle. Another very very bad pest which we should be alert is the brown tree snake. You may have heard that this snake is in Guam and is doing a lot of damage. It wiped out 3 or 4 bird species, and it also kills chickens, and it's a big nuisance. So it's in Guam, PNG, Solomons, and parts of Australia. Another one is the coqui frog. It's a very tiny little frog. It's in Guam now. It's in Guam, and this frog makes so much noise that people cannot sleep at night. And in parts of, I think, Hawaii, where it is present, people moved away and people cannot rent out their houses any longer because of this coqui frog. We don't have it. Another one here, which I want to spend a little bit more time to talk about, is the coconut rhinoceros beetle. It is present in Palau, Samoa, Tonga, Wallis Futuna, PNG, and Guam and Hawaii. So Guam is not far from us, Palau is not far from us, and we are really concerned that this beetle could come to FSM. So we just recently we developed an alert leaflet which shows the symptoms of the rhinoceros beetle. This is the beetle, and it shows what symptoms it is. Like it drills a hole in here and the leaves come out as a V shape. And the idea is, if people see this beetle or these symptoms, they need to report it to agriculture or quarantine, that we can act on it. So if people report, we'll send specialists to the field to find out, is it caused by the rhinoceros beetle. And if this is the case, we just have developed an emergency response plan. And this plan tells us exactly who is doing what. So if we get the beetle let's say we find out that the beetle is established or found, we will have people going to the field and trying to eradicate it before it spreads more. So this is the emergency response plan. So coconut rhinoceros beetle is definitely one we are very, very concerned, because it is in Guam, it is in Palau, like Yap is in very high risk, and so on. So another one is the red-banded mango caterpillar. It is in Palau and Yap and in many other places. It goes into the mango and drills holes in the mango and does a lot of pests. It's very tiny, very small. Another one which is not present is a bee timber. It goes into wood and drills hole. As you can see on this right slide, that bee can cause a lot of damage. It's not here. Another very, very high risk or very dangerous pest is the red imported fire ant. It is native in Latin America. It's present in some parts of US, in China, Hong Kong, some parts of Australia, not present in Hawaii, not present in Guam. But there are many other ant species like the red little fire ant, which is not here in Ponape either. And as you can see, this one, this red imported fire ant, it can really make a mess. Look at the arm of this person. There were cases where 2 people got killed by the ant. So it's a really very bad. So now this is another one on banana, which is not present. It's called the banana scab moth. There's another one which is not here. It's the Papuana beetle. It's on taro. It's in Kiribati, Solomon, Fiji, and PNG. We don't have it. It's making holes into the taro, and it's making a lot of problems. So these were insects which are not here. Now we have plants which are not here. There's a disease called banana bunchy top virus. It's in Guam, it's in Tonga, Philippines, and many other places. It doesn't allow the banana to grow up. It keeps the banana slow down, and it makes it look bunchy and has yellowish narrow leaves. Another one is a disease, the beetle nut disease in Guam and CNMI. We don't have it. Another one is coconut kadang-kadang. It's present in the Philippines. Another coconut disease is in Guam. It's Tinan Chaha disease. There's another disease on papaya. It's called the papaya ring spot virus. It's present in Guam and Hawaii and India. We don't have this one. And weeds, there are many weeds which are not here in FSM. So I was talking now about pests which are not here in FSM. So what can we do not to get these pests here? So we have...
Okay.
So about weeds, we have many weeds here in FSM, but there's one I like to show which is not in FSM. It's Myconia. And this one is in some place in New Caledonia and in Papua New Guinea. And the leaves is enormous big, as you can see in this picture. And it's a very invasive plant. And there are many other invasive plant species which are not here. But now I like to talk about, just a little bit about, so we have so many plants and animals and insects and diseases which are not here in FSM. So it is very important to have a very good quarantine or biosecurity. So the quarantine need to know what they are doing. They need to inspect. Whenever they allow any produce, fruits or vegetables, those fruits or vegetables can travel with pests. And the quarantine or the biosecurity office, they must do a risk assessment to assess the risk and the pathway. Pathway means how can the pest come from one place to another. If I give you an example, the rhinoceros beetle, which we don't have in FSM, and we are very concerned, it can travel with wood, with rotten wood. It can travel in compost, because that's where it is breeding. It can fly into, when a ship is loaded at night, because it's attracted by the light, it can fly to the light and it can fall into the cargo hold, or it can come on the airplane's cargo hold. So quarantine, biosecurity is very important.